Dumago in Johannesburg.
Women make up 2/3 of the world's illiterate population, with a vast majority of these women living in rural areas. Illiteracy levels amongst women are high as they are often forced to leave school to marry and look after their families. A study by the UN Children's Fund shows that women in sub-Saharan Africa collectively spend about 40 billion hours a year collecting water. We spoke to the Southern African Institution of Learning's Peter Maleka about why rural women are often forgotten by society, especially when it comes to their economic contributions.
Obviously, gender inequality exists largely among the poor, and there has been a considerable increase in gender inequality in education among people with lower income. So obviously, the gender equality, especially in rural areas, it's affecting women. And most of them, they find themselves, unable to access education, and obviously there's no improvement from their side in terms of from the economy side of things. So that's the challenge. But I think mainly it's because of education. Most of them are unable to access education.
What does that inaccessibility to education speak to? What are some of the contributing factors for them to be unable to get that education, apart from just the gender inequality in itself?
Yeah. I think the problem, obviously, it's the culture issue. To say probably the women are not really being considered. Based on the culture, basically, and most of them they find themselves in a position where they are unable to access education, and even the parents as well, when they look at options of educating their kids, they wouldn't look at the girl child. And in most cases, that's the challenge, and that on its own impact on growth of a woman, and impact the economic growth basically. So that's where the challenge is. But I think it's because of it's a culture issue, and obviously the fact that the economy at this stage is not really supportive to the women in rural areas.
Are things changing though? Are we seeing some women in rural areas being educated or enrolling in courses, or is the situation still as dire as it was a couple of years back?
Yes, things are changing. I think there is a lot of changes in an actual fact. I mean, if you look at the policies around BEE, and you look at the public sector as well in terms of what are they doing to ensure that they capacitate the women, especially in rural areas. There is a lot of things that are happening. And obviously, even from our side, from Southern African Institute of Learning, there are a lot of things that we are doing in terms of trying to upskill the women in rural areas. We have developed a lot of programs basically to try and make sure that the women in rural areas are being impacted, they have business training, and they are being empowered. So basically, I would say there is a lot of progress.
Reflect a bit more on some of these programs that you have as the Southern Institution of Learning. Talking to what kind of programs do you have, and how do women really get involved?
Yeah, the good part of it is that we are on a process where we are planning to train 1,957 rural women to ensure that we empower them with business, knowledge. Because some of the reason why most of them are failing and they are unable to, to participate in the economy is because they are not skilled enough. They don't have knowledge. They can't easily be part of all the programs that the government is currently rolling out. So that's one of the challenges. So from a Southern African institution, what we are trying to do at this stage is to make sure that we upskill them, we give them knowledge so that they know how to participate in some of this program that government is currently rolling out.
That was Peter Maleka, Marketing Director at Southern African Institute of Learning, talking to Khomutso Mupulani.